This is You Ask, We Answer, and let's get started with the questions you sent to us. Very first question is, if people are willing to sell gold, silver, etc. for dollars, is the dollar really in so much trouble? This is a version of the classic trader's dilemma. If somebody is willing to sell you something, shouldn't you be suspicious that maybe you shouldn't be buying it? The fact is, we all have different theories about the direction the market is going, and beyond that, we have different timelines in which our liquidity demands shift. So the fact that somebody's willing to sell you something doesn't mean you shouldn't buy it, and in this case, the fact that people are willing to sell gold for dollars is not really an indication of the dollar's strength. Second question comes from Sam Deprist. He says, is it correct that by selling more Treasury bonds, the government is actually supporting the dollar, since foreigners must buy dollars first and then go buy Treasuries? There's something to this, and clearly selling dollar-denominated assets, whether they're US Treasuries, bonds sold by foreign governments that are also sold in dollar denominations, does support the dollar to an extent. The problem is, over the long term, selling lots of US Treasuries creates pressure on the dollar because people suspect that the government will have to inflate its way out of the massive amount of debt. Right now, in fact, we have a kind of reversal of the usual system. The Fed is actually buying Treasuries, which means it is pumping more dollars into the system and taking Treasuries out of the system. What that means is that selling more Treasuries and then forcing the Fed to come in and buy it is actually probably undermining the dollar. Next one, from Brent. He wants to know, do we think that online poker should be regulated by the US government? Absolutely not. Nothing about the US government would make it a good regulator of online poker. They're not very good at regulating very much online at all. Online gambling seems a kind of crazy thing to try to involve the US government in. It would be far better handled by states, local municipalities, and probably left on its own. I should add that the biggest proponents of wanting to regulate online gambling are, of course, the casinos. They want it to be stomped out so that you have to go spend your money in their shops rather than be able to do it online. Let's not let the special interests win this one. How would you describe both your political and economic leanings, asks our commenter, CU Writer. Well, I'm glad that you asked that. I'm a reactionary decadent anarchist. If you want to know what that means, tune in next week and ask the question, what is a reactionary decadent anarchist? Gordon asks, do you think you are getting an adequate return on investment on your Penn law degree working at the Business Insider? Good question, Gordon. The answer is certainly yes. I was getting a slightly higher, well, much higher pay level back when I was a corporate lawyer, but I was nowhere near as happy. Could I have done this without my Penn law degree? Well, my experience being a lawyer informs my reporting and also provided me with access to a lot of the people who I talked to get our stories. So yeah, I think the rate of return is pretty good. Next, if the Sherman Act were to be invoked, presumably to regulate the banks, who would lead that? Treasury, Justice? It would be the Justice Department, which is actually a good reason not to invoke it. The Justice Department is not really equipped to regulate the banking industry. That's not the way they look at things. So we probably don't want to start bringing in the Sherman Act as a sort of easy way of trying to break up the too-big-to-fail banks. Finally, who would have won in a fight, Adam Smith or Superman? At first, I thought the answer to this would be easy, Adam Smith. After all, Superman's not a real person, so he can't win a fight. Then again, Adam Smith is dead, so it'll be hard for him to win a fight. I give it to a tie. Thank you. This has been You Ask, We Answer. We thank you for tuning in, watching us, asking the questions, and we thank our sponsor, Research in Motion, the maker of the BlackBerry.